Satoshi Nakamoto is credited with inventing Bitcoin, and while he or they remain anonymous to this day, Nakamoto was hardly the first person to try and create a digital form of money. In fact, there were several attempts prior to Bitcoin that could be considered predecessors to the world's first cryptocurrency. So here are 3 digital cash attempts that came before Bitcoin. It was one of the earliest attempts at digital cash and was actually one of the first uses of the blockchain concept. However, it wasn't quite what we would recognize as cryptocurrency today, as it required a trusted third party to guarantee transactions. Double spending occurs when someone spends the same digital unit of value twice, which is a problem when all copies of a digital file can be replicated infinitely. They showed that it was possible to create a digital currency that could be used without a central authority, and that it could be done using the latest encryption technology. More importantly, they demonstrated the potential benefits of a decentralized digital currency, including increased privacy, faster transactions, and lower fees. It wasn't until Satoshi Nakamoto came along that all of these concepts were brought together to create a fully functional decentralized digital currency. But without the work of those who came before him, it's unlikely that Bitcoin would have ever been possible. B-Money aimed to solve this issue by introducing a new concept called a proof of work, similar to Adam Back's Hashcash, but with a few key differences. Shafi Goldwasser, a computer scientist at MIT, was also inspired by the idea and contributed to its development. He described the system as a way to create digital cash that could be used anonymously without a central authority, similar to how cash works in the real world. However, unlike traditional cash, B-Money transactions would be publicly verifiable through the use of cryptographic techniques. One of the main features of B-Money was its use of a peer-to-peer network to verify transactions. This meant that there was no need for a central authority to oversee the currency, and all transactions would be broadcast to the entire network for verification. If you've guessed that this sounds a lot like Bitcoin, you'd be right. In fact, many of the core concepts of B-Money, such as proof of work, the use of public key cryptography, and the peer-to-peer network were all adopted by Nakamoto when he created Bitcoin. Despite this limitation, DigiCash did introduce some innovative ideas, such as the use of public key cryptography to allow for anonymous transactions without a central authority. While DigiCash never really took off, its underlying technology would go on to play a significant role in the development of later digital cash systems, including Bitcoin. For example, the blockchain concept used in DigiCash to maintain a public ledger of transactions was a key inspiration for Nakamoto when he was developing Bitcoin. First up is DigiCash, which launched in 1983 and was created by a team led by cryptographer David Shom. Moving forward to 1996, we have Hashcash. Unlike DigiCash, Hashcash was not a complete payment system, but rather a method for mitigating spam in email. It was invented by Adam Back, a British computer scientist, who later became a key contributor to the development of Bitcoin. Back's idea consisted of creating a digital currency that could be used to prevent spam by making it more difficult for automated bots to send emails. Users would be required to solve a computationally intensive math problem in order to obtain the right to send an email. This process involved generating a hash value that met certain conditions and required a significant amount of computing power, making it very difficult for spammers to generate the necessary hashes quickly. If you're thinking, that sounds kind of familiar, well, it is. The concept of proof of work, which is a core component of Bitcoin and many other cryptocurrencies, is essentially the same as Back's initial idea for mitigating spam with Hashcash. In fact, when Bitcoin was launched, it used a variant of the Hashcash algorithm as its proof of work function. So while not a full-blown digital currency itself, Hashcash was an important precursor to Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies because of its use of the proof of work concept. So while none of these digital cash attempts were successful in creating a decentralized digital currency that could rival Bitcoin, they did lay some important groundwork. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.